Hi, I'm Jan Harrell from Houston, Texas. I'm a metalsmith, jeweler, and enamelist. Today we're going to work with patinas, a darkening of the metal. This is one of the pieces that I've done that has a patina on silver and on copper. And if you've seen Cool Tools' website, you've seen this necklace in the video area. This is all done in sterling silver, but the patina makes it look very dark. And today I'm going to show you how to get a great patina on copper and on silver. The tools we'll be using will be this wonderful gel patina that has become my new favorite liquid, well, besides tequila. Baking soda, that will be a neutralizing bath. You're also going to need some polishing sticks, and these are in 3 different grits. For this, you'll also need some gloves for safety, a set of safety goggles. You don't want liver of sulfur splashing in your eyes, a pair of copper tongs, and then a few things for cleaning and abrading the metal before we actually do the patina. So I've got the easy, cheaper way of doing it, which is a fiberglass brush. And then I've got my new other favorite tool in the world, which is this Cool Jewel tool that has a 3M wheel on it that also puts a tooth on your material. Well, let's get started. So what exactly is a patina? Well, if you're a fan of the Antiques Roadshow like I am, you have seen bronze pieces and different metals that have a beautiful patina on them. Well, that's great if you've got 100 years to wait, but if you want something dark and black to really accent enamels or stones, you have to speed up the process. So liver of sulfur is a great speeder up of the process, and it will darken the exposed metal in a matter of minutes. This gel has been developed maybe over the last 5 years, but before the gel came around, there was this awful stuff called liver of sulfur chunks, and it was a tall jar. It wasn't inexpensive, and if the jar was not kept with no humidity allowed to go in, you lost the entire contents of the crystals. So this came around. We can put it in the sunlight, it doesn't disintegrate, and it gives you much longer shelf life for your liver of sulfur. It does smell bad. There's nothing that's going to make the rotten egg smell go away. So if someone has been in my studio and walks in the door, I say, I'm sorry, it's a liver of sulfur day. And it's a little bad, but you get used to the smell. Okay, I'm going to put on my eye protection. I don't want liver of sulfur to get into my eyes. And I'm also going to be using a buffing machine. Now, why would I do these things? Patina sticks best if it's on a textured or abraded toothed surface. So there are 2 ways to do that are totally different in how much you want to spend on tools and equipment. I'm going to take this textured copper piece and I'm going to do it with a fiberglass brush. Now, this is an easy technique to do. You can do it in your house and you don't have to own a lot of equipment, but it does require you putting on gloves because it has fiberglass in it. And I'm going to go over to the sink and do this with gloves on, and I'm going to abrade the surface. So here I am at the sink. You see that I've put on gloves for protection. You don't want to get that fiberglass in your finger. This is a huge version of a fiberglass brush, and this is a smaller one. You might have seen this in another Cool Tools video that I did. I'm going to put some water on here. I've got this board. I really like that. It saves you from bending over in the sink all the time. And I'm just going to abrade and clean the surface. So I could do it with this, and that would give me a nice finish. Let me show you the difference. So you can see the difference between the area that's oxidized a little and then the area that I've cleaned up. I'm going to do it with the bigger brush because this is one of my personal favorites. And I'm going to scrub the entire surface. So patinas won't stick to anything that has oil on it. It acts as a resist. Then I'm going to rinse the piece off. It's bright and shiny. And I use this for a number of processes in enameling that you will see in other videos. So there's my surface, clean and ready to be patinaed. Let me show you the other tool to use, and then we'll be ready to start our patina process. I'm going to abrade this surface on this textured piece of copper. This is in 24 gauge. And I'm going to do it with this 3M wheels. I love them. You stack several of them on top of each other on the same mandrel. And this, if you have a Dremel or any kind of a flex shaft, a lot easier than doing the fiberglass. But what you're doing is degreasing and putting a little bit of a tooth on it. So you want the grits that aren't very fine. They're not for polishing, they're actually for putting a little bit of a tooth on here. So that's a wonderful way to get a tooth before you do a patina. So once again, I've put on my safety glasses because I'm working with a large tool. You want to protect your eyes from anything that could be flown off into the distance. This is a jewel tool, which I own one of these. It's been a lifesaver for a lot of techniques, but it's really good for doing this process with the 3M wheel. It's a much larger wheel, so you get a lot more torque. I'm going to turn it all the way up to high. And I'm working at the edge on this quadrant. The beauty part of the 3M products is you add no compound. And that's wonderful. That means we can go right to our next technique without having to do a lot of cleaning. Never put compound on these tools. You want it something that you can take and immediately start your process on. Now that we're ready to do the patina, I've put my gloves back on, and I want to show you one additional piece. Because I do enameling, I've enameled a piece that is not all covered in glass. So this exposed copper, I want a black patina. I just want a black and white piece. So very easy to do with enamel. I've counter enameled the back side of it, so it's going to be very sturdy. So you're going to see maybe 4 different ways of doing a patina. In this first container, I have some extremely hot water, and the hotter the better, but you don't want it boiling. This liver of sulfur gel is perfect for this procedure. I like to stir with a non-reactive metal, non-metal piece, a wooden spoon, whatever I've got. And this section here is clean water because I'm going to do a dip to leave the rest of the liver of sulfur residue inside this. And then our very last one is a baking soda neutralizing bath. So, you know, like a heaping tablespoon. So in doing patinas, sometimes it takes more than one trip around the baths here. I'm going to dip it in the solution, and you can already see that the copper is taking on a deep patina. So we've got a pretty nice black going here. I'm going to dip it in the water to take off the residue and then neutralize it in the liver, in the baking soda, I'm sorry. So when you dip it, it coats the front and the back, and that can be good. If you want it done a different way, you could also paint this on. So you could paint the solution just on the front of the piece, but I usually dip the whole thing. Now, I can't see the texture in the material, but I'm going to show you that in just a minute. I'm going to let this piece dry and continue on with the other 4 pieces. Liver of sulfur has to have copper to make it turn. So sterling silver has copper in it. Even fine silver has a little bit of copper in it. So all of those will develop a patina. It won't happen on gold, and it won't happen on brass. So those are not on aluminum either. So you need to have it in something that has a copper alloy in it. And if you wanted to stop the process along the way, you could take it out when it was more of a rainbow hue. But I like the darkness of patina because it gives weight to your pieces. They look like they have some substance to them. A dip in the water bath, and then in the baking soda neutralizing solution. And we're just going to lay that off here. This is sterling silver. And because sterling silver doesn't have quite as much copper as copper does, it may take a little bit longer to develop a nice dark black. That's pretty good. Water, baking soda, neutralizing. And then let's do this last piece, which is an enameled piece. Enamel acts as a resist. So I could put enamel in this piece and it's not going to be discolored by the liver of sulfur. Oh, that's great. So what an easy enamel piece, black and white. So there we have our finished pieces, but we need to do something to reveal the pattern. One of the easiest things to do is to just rub it with your fingers in baking soda. I'm going to choose to do that on the second one because it has a fairly tight pattern. If you have a big pattern like this, the baking soda is going to get down into the big open areas and you won't get as much of a relief pattern. So I'm going to put just a little baking soda on this paper, and then I'm just going to rub it. So I'm just rubbing to take it off the highlighted areas. And let's see how that looks. So this was a really good liver of sulfur. If it's not coming off, then I'm going to go ahead and attack it with one of these sanding sticks. So let me get one of those out. So because this has a relief pattern, all I'm doing is taking it off the high spots. Oh, this is coming off much better. Now this is a medium grit, and then I could go to a finer after that if I wanted more of a, kind of a shiny finish on there. So let me show that to you. So we've got a nice difference between the low relief and the high relief on this piece. That could be a piece all in itself combined with other elements. I've made tubing rivets to hold the jump rings because I like that additional touch of information. So let's see what it did on the silver piece next. I'm going to try the baking soda first. And I always say approach it with the least aggressive material and then move up as you need to. So can you see that we've got a little bit of a difference in the two areas, the raised relief area and the inserts? Not great, but if I wanted to do this again, all I would do is repeat this process one more time. So I can re-dip this. I can leave it in here longer. That always will darken the silver. Or I can get my solution just a little bit hotter, and that will help. I'm going to do my dip again and the neutralize. Every piece of material that you work on acts differently, and It could be the day of the week, a lot of humidity in the air. I'm going to use this very fine one on the silver because it's a precious metal and it needs to be shiny, I think. Oh, this looks great. So I want this to look like it got dug up in some Etruscan mine somewhere, and it's been sitting there for years. Look at that patina. That's wonderful. The one that has the enamel, how do I treat that? Because some of this liver of sulfur does come off. I like to use a brass brush over at the sink. So follow me over to the sink and I'll show you the refining technique for this particular treatment. The thing I like about doing a patina with enamel components is that I can scrub across the surface. It is as sturdy as your washing machine lid. It is tough stuff, so don't think that you have to mollycoddle this stuff. Just get in there and scrub on it. But I love the finish that the brass brush gives. It gives a little bit of a golden patina, which is different from the ones that we're getting on the other products. But you need soap to have it ride the surface. So I put just a little bit of detergent on here and I wet and I scrub. So I see that some of the patina has come off, not a problem. I'm going to redo the dip and I'll do this one more time to let you see how much darker we can get that relief area in between. So I re-dipped the copper piece that had the enamel on it, and look at the difference in the darkness of the patina. Sometimes it takes a couple of times. Don't think that if you didn't get the patina the first time, you've done something wrong. There might have been a little bit of dirt, oil, not enough abrasion, but if you go and scrub it at the sink with a brass brush and all of it comes off, just come back and dip it again. The second time, work like a charm. So you might be wondering what to do with the liver of sulfur solution after you've used it. And you probably want to get it out of your studio because it's stinky. Well, as you can see, we haven't been at this video that long and this is already getting a little cloudy. It will soon become transparent and then you can see through it and then it's no longer active. You could choose to pour it down your sink. You could also neutralize it with a baking soda, but that's really not necessarily. It has neutralized by then. And some people put it on their tomato plants. I haven't done that myself, but you might give it a try. So this is everything you needed to know about patinas and needed to ask me about. So make it dark, make it shiny, and make it stand out. Bye.
Visit our Learning Center at cooltools.us for more cool jewelry making videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to sign up for our email list to be the first to hear about new videos, new products, and other cool stuff from Cool Tools.